Dr. Sharma, is the story of Ram historically accurate, would you say? Did it really happen?
What do you think?
I don't want to speculate.
Okay, so is it for real? Is it real?
Yeah.
Well, the question can be answered at a kind of a superficial level and then at a deeper level. So let's go for the superficial first. Apart from saying that we really do not know, it might be reasonable to assume that there was some figure whose acts of bravery caught the popular imagination. That is, a person made a great impression in his own time, and that gradually the story got embellished and took in more characters, and its range of action expanded. And finally it was composed in the form of an epic, which is what we have now. And even the person was given divine attributes. There's a word for this, it's called euhemerism, that the gods are really mythologically dressed up real historical figures of the past. Given the currency of the Ram story and all, it seems reasonable to assume that some such person might have lived, ruled over a kingdom, the size of which we cannot now really not figure out, and ruled it so well that he created the impression of being kind of an ideal ruler. But the deeper question is it the right question to ask? In the sense that do we ask of a play or a piece of music or art, is it historically true? Is it real? Or is it true rather? Is it true or false? We ask these questions of scientific data, historical data, and so on. And in that context, they are the right question to ask. But when you ask the question, is it real or not, and leave it with these two options, then you are reducing the richness of life to a binary proposition. Yes or no? Rational or irrational? Ramayana is a piece of fiction, period. The question is, even if it's just a piece of fiction, does it end there? And here we get into a major issue, cultural issue, that certainly in the Hindu imagination, life cannot be reduced to the binary opposition of the rational and the irrational. There is a whole realm of what we can only call at the moment the non-rational. Family life, friendships, loyalties, pursuit of ideals? Is it rational? Is it irrational? Or is it non-rational? I think we will have to admit that the things that make up most of life are non-rational. And if we squeeze the lens so tightly in looking at things, then we're leaving out this whole area of the imagination, not hallucination, which is irrational, of the imagination. As I mentioned earlier, art, literature, moral narratives. The real value of the narrative of Ram, it is moral. Should promises be kept? When Ram is leaving, or when Ram decides to leave the capital and go into exile, in a sense a voluntary exile, because he insisted that the father keep his word. This is not even a word given by Ram. His father had given word to his wife. But he says, in my royal line, I have heard they give their life, but keep their word. And therefore I am going to go into exile. So this is the Ram Hindus love and venerate. Is it rational? Is it irrational? So in answering such questions, I think we should not lose sight of this whole issue. And one can also make a still deeper point, that the malaise of modern civilization, partly to be traced to the Enlightenment, which imposed this rather severe grid on human life, or the things human beings do, rational or irrational. So all religion became superstition. Nobody is denying that some of it is, or much of it is probably. But the inability to allow for the non-rational, you will find, are precisely the areas of life which have suffered etiolation in modernity. Community life, personal relationships, moral values, the non-rational realm. So the Hindus' commitment to the Ramayana speaks on all these registers, if I may.